everybody, and welcome to the Great Newfoundland Christmas Cake-Off. My name is Chrissy Holmes, and we're here at Rocket Bakery today on Water Street in downtown St. John's with 3 judges and 3 contestants. And over the next half an hour, we're going to eat a lot of cake, we're going to test these amazing recipes, and we are going to determine for once and for all who makes the best Christmas fruitcake in all of Newfoundland and Labrador. Now, Christmas cake, what can you say? It's basically the foundation of the holidays here in this province. Even people that don't like Christmas cake are going to suck it up and pretend that they love it because, hey, what is not to love? It is completely soaked in rum, and that is a lot of rum, I can tell you that. That's like a 4-pounder right there. All right, here's how this is going to work. This is a blind taste test. These judges have no idea who has baked each one of these cakes. The judging is going to be done based on taste alone. All right, let's meet our judges. First up, Dale Jarvis.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
He is the intangible cultural heritage officer in this province, and that means he is in charge of all things traditional. That includes fruitcake, right?
I'm the official cake historian on the panel today.
That's a good job to have.
I'm really interested in tradition, so I'm really interested in traditional fruitcakes. But I'm a folklorist and I'm always interested in how people play with tradition. So I like things that come from the past but which might have a modern spin on them as well.
Next up, it's Kelly Mansell.
Welcome to Rocket Bakery.
She is a tough cookie to please in the kitchen, I can tell you that. You're actually the co-owner here at Rocket Bakery,
That's
so
right.
No pressure, guys, right?
I never indulged in fruitcake until I moved here. And we made our own fruitcake here at Rocket, and it's delicious. It's heavy. It's got lots of booze in it. That's why I like it.
And of course, Barry Parsons, who has made up a fruitcake recipe or two in his day.
Hi, I'm Barry Parsons, and I am the author of the Rock Recipes series of cookbooks. 3 out now.
3 out now, and he's also the man behind rockrecipes.com.
I do love my old traditional fruitcake recipes, but every year I try and do something different, and at least one cake a year I'll try and do a little twist on it. Add a little citrus to something, or try a different liqueur, something to soak it in. Anything that shows a little imagination is something I'll be looking for.
Guys, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
It's fun.
All right, time now to meet our contestants. We've got Al Antle, Helen Escott, and Kelly Piercy. Al Antle is a familiar name to a lot of people in this province. He's the Executive Director of Credit Counseling Services, Newfoundland and Labrador. But he's not just all about the debt. I understand he's also all about the Christmas pudding. And Al, you have made over 20,000 Christmas puddings for charity over the years?
I personally haven't. I've been part of making 20,000. The year my daughter started kindergarten, we decided to do a fundraiser at school. We sold what we then called plum puddings, and we discovered that we had a lousy recipe, so my friend and the president of the PTA at the time got together and made one up, and here we are. And we've been making these puddings ever since.
But the big question is, have you ever made a Christmas cake?
No.
Really?
No. Yes, I do know this is a Christmas cake show, and I won't mislead you. That causes me some consternation because I'm not a baker. I'm going to try this because it sounds like it's going to be great fun. And I have a couple of ideas that I'm going to try out and see where they go. I've used purity syrup, I've used Fossil's cream, I've used partridge berries, blueberries, bake apples. I've tried to make it as Newfoundlandish as I could. I couldn't get away with savory, but you know, I thought about it.
So this really is a truly Newfoundland Christmas cake.
I'd like to think so, but obviously that's to be determined.
All right, we'll see if the judges can taste the difference. Our next contestant, Helen Escott. And some might call you a bit of a Christmas queen.
Ho, ho, ho. As soon as November 11th finishes, we start decorating for Christmas because we love Christmas, and you just can't have a house not decorated.
You have 4 Christmas trees.
This is the family tree behind me, and that tree has bulbs from everywhere we travel, and then when the kids were small, we would let them go up to Hallmark and pick out a bulb every year, so now it's got lots of bulbs on it. The tree in the front hall is the snowman tree. That's the one everybody loves. And then there's the upside down tree that everybody likes to get a picture in front of. And then I have a black tree that's actually the Halloween tree, and then it turns into the shoe tree and the lovebird tree. And then I have another tree that's just a normal tree.
So all this Christmas stuff, but you've never been allowed to make a Christmas cake?
No, my mother made the Christmas cakes for our family, and she's passed now 2 years, and she's probably rolling in her grave right now knowing that I actually made a fruitcake, because no one else has ever been allowed to do that, because she makes one for everybody in the family. And after making one, I have no idea how she did that now.
So tell us a little bit about that process.
It was like the nightmare before Christmas, really, because it was a lot of work. I was thinking, how hard can it be to make a cake? And I had to Google the recipe, and actually I got yours, Barry, so if you don't like it, so you can only blame yourself, really. And then I had to take it to Sobeys, and there was light raisins, dark raisins, and currants. And I was thinking, what's the difference between raisins and currants? I don't know the difference. So what I did was I just looked around Sobeys and found ladies that looked like grandmothers and chased them down and said, do you know the difference between raisins and currants? Have you ever made a Christmas cake? And this lovely lady said, oh, it's no big deal. Just throw in more raisins. It's okay. And then it was ginger. Do you have ground ginger or powdered ginger? Because Sobeys didn't have powdered ginger. So I had to get another grandmother and say, would it make a really big difference? She's like, no, put whatever you want in a Christmas cake. Everybody throws what's ever left over in the Christmas cake. So that's what I did, and I started at 9 o'clock at night, and I think I got in bed around 3:30 in the morning. And then I had to get up the next morning to put the rum on it. So the whole thing probably took 9 hours.
And there's a lot of rum in it, right?
There is a lot of rum, because I figure if it doesn't taste any good, I'll make him drunk and he won't know the difference.
All right, I don't know which one is yours, but I'm looking forward to finding out. All right, our last contestant is Kelly Piercy, and Kelly is a social worker. She works with at-risk youth by day, so as a bit of an antidote to what I would imagine is a pretty difficult job most days, you enjoy baking with your two boys.
Okay, watch, we're gonna put a little bit of flour on the rolling pin. My baking makes my family happy, my co-workers happy, everyone around me, and it's a great stress reliever. You did it! I love to make homemade bread. Cookies, cakes. When my husband comes home from work with the children, if he smells things baking, then he knows that I've had a pretty hard day. But it's amazing how once I'm finished, then I feel like I'm calmer.
So tell us a little bit about your Christmas cake baking experience here this year.
I have made fruitcakes for probably about 2 or 3 years. When I tried to figure out the best recipe, I took a bunch of different ones from different people that I really liked using recipes from, and I made the cakes and then I sent them all over the city. So I would say, do you like fruitcake? Try these 3 and tell me which ones you like. If you're not honest, you're not going to get to try anymore. So I, sent it to my husband's work, my own work, friends, family, and I came up with the recipe that I thought was best. And I did the same thing for this challenge. I made 3 cakes, and I made sure that it was my best cake when I brought it here today.
All right, that recipe through polling, how did that work out? What kind of feedback did you get on your cake?
They said it was the best they've ever tasted.
All right. I guess we're gonna find out if that's true or not.
I'm a bit of a competitive person, so I like to put, the best cake out there that I can. They either like it or they don't. People have certain tastes, and if I don't win, it'll be a great experience still.
All right, good luck to all the contestants. That's Kelly Piercy, Helen Escott, and Al Antle. This is the Great Newfoundland Christmas Cake Off. Coming up after the break, we're going to find out how we butter up these judges. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Great Newfoundland Christmas Cake Off. I'm Chrissy Holmes. We're here at the Rocket Bakery in downtown St. John's right now, and it's time now to meet our fruitcake judges. Barry Parsons, well, he's no stranger around here. He's basically the expert when it comes to all things baking. He started baking for Christmas back in July. He's on his 3rd cookbook now, Rock Recipe Christmas, and he's such a big baker, he even has his own butter bunker. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but first up, here's Barry from his kitchen telling us what he's going to be looking for.
First thing I'm going to be looking for is enough fruit in a cake. There's nothing worse than a fruit cake that's more cake than fruit. So I'm going to be looking for that. If it's a spice cake, I'm going to be looking for a good even balance in the spices there. If it's a light fruit cake, I'm going to look for some good background flavors, maybe a hint of orange or something in there. And if it's a really dark classical fruit cake, I'm going to be looking for a dark, rich flavor where you can taste the fruit and the molasses at the same time, as well as really well spiced.
All right. Back to this butter bunker thing, Barry. A butter bunker? What's up with that?
Yeah, well, a couple of years ago, there was a big rumor that there was going to be a big butter shortage for Christmas, so I started jamming it into the downstairs fridge about a couple of months before Christmas, make sure you didn't run out.
All right, so how can we butter you up? What's it going to take to impress you here today?
It's going to be all about the flavor and texture here for me today. I'd like a really well-spiced fruitcake. I like to taste the molasses, and if there's some nuts in there, you're probably in with a chance.
All right. Our next fruitcake judge is actually one of our hosts here today, co-owner of Rocket Bakery, Kelly Mansell. And Kelly, I know that you do a lot in terms of fruitcakes. You sell quite a few of them, so you know your stuff.
Yes, we love our fruitcake here at Rocket.
And I understand that you didn't even like fruitcake until you came here to Newfoundland.
No, that's right. I didn't like fruitcake at all, and we started making a fruitcake based on a recipe of one of our farmers that we have on staff, Donna Smith. And she's been baking those fruitcakes for about 40 years, and we think it's based on an old cream of the West recipe. So it's got a real heritage here, and it's tasty. It's got a nice molasses taste, and I'll be looking for that. I like those base notes, and really, for me, it's all about the rum. Rum. I want rum. It has to have a great rum flavor. Can you have too much rum? That would be a big no, and it has to be a heavy fruitcake. If it ain't heavy, it ain't got enough rum in it.
And our third and final judge this evening is probably best known for his ghost stories. He's the founder of The Haunted Hike, but Dale Jarvis is also this province's Intangible Cultural Heritage Officer. All right, that means that you're the keeper of all things tradition, Dale. So how about fruitcake? Is fruitcake intangible?
Fruitcake is about as dense and tangible as you can possibly get.
I'm going to be looking for a dark Christmas fruitcake.
Traditionality, I'm going to be looking for traditional ingredients.
I know lots of people are fans of light Christmas cake, but I'm truly a fan of the dark cake.
But I'm also interested in how people play with tradition and make it more modern and contemporary.
And I like a lot of fruit and dried peel in my Christmas cake. I like it to be heavy, and I like it to be really fruit rich and heavy.
Do you like to be surprised?
I love to be surprised.
All right, well, get ready because it sounds like there is lots of surprise in store with these cakes. All right, this is a blind taste test, so we're gonna get some plates and some forks together and get this show on the road. But before we do, here's a little bit more about the history of fruitcake.
The history of fruitcake is actually pretty complicated. And the earliest types of cakes that were kind of close to what we would think of as Christmas cakes were very, very different. They were meat-based and were savory, probably a lot more like what we would think of as a haggis or a blood pudding, made with things like tongue and beef and a lot of oatmeal. And they were meant to be a hearty meal that you would eat on Christmas Eve to break the fast that you would be making leading up to Christmas. And then two really important things happened in the evolution of the fruitcake. One was that ingredients that hadn't been available in the medieval period started to become more readily available. Things like peel and raisins and fine ground flour, refined sugar. So these things started to be added to the cake along with spices, mace and nutmeg, those kinds of things. So we saw a shift from kind of meat and oatmeal based puddings towards things that were closer in terms of ingredients to what we would see today. All of these were boiled puddings, and that's where we get things like figgy duff and spotted dick and Christmas plum puddings, and things like mincemeat that come out of that meat-based tradition. But by the mid-1800s, more and more people had access to ovens, and so people started to bake their Christmas puddings into cakes instead of having a boiled Christmas pudding. So by the end of the 1800s, when even ordinary households were able to have ovens, we saw this big shift. It was kind of a shift away from those boiled puddings of the past towards the more modern Christmas cake that we have today.
Hang on. Just before we drive the knives into these cakes, I'm noticing you guys are looking a little bit nervous. Are you okay, Kelly?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just really anxious for them to get started.
You nervous about what they're going to find in there?
Hoping they're going to be happy with it.
I would say the biggest thing for a fruitcake is making sure that it's properly baked and well baked. The darker the fruitcake is, that's the bigger challenge in this case, because there's very little flour that actually binds that cake together. And if you don't get that to the perfect cooked doneness, we will call it, then the cake could potentially fall in the center even a half an hour or so after it comes out of the oven.
All right, Helen, what about you? You're biting your lip a bit.
I feel like a kid on Christmas Eve. I just can't wait.
Do you know how it turned out?
Have no idea, haven't tasted.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to be looking for a dark Christmas fruitcake. And I like a lot of fruit and dried peel in my Christmas cake. I like it to be heavy and I like it to be really fruit rich and heavy.
Al, you look a bit nervous too.
I'm not, I'm just anxious to get this done.
It has to have a great rum flavor. This is where the benchmark is in terms of the amount of rum you put in your fruitcake. So if there isn't enough rum in that fruitcake, it's not worth eating. It has to be a heavy fruitcake. If it ain't heavy, it ain't got enough rum in it.
All right, guys, then let's do it. Let's
Cut that cake.
It is time to taste some fruitcake. These cakes are numbered 1 to 3. Nobody knows who has made each of these fruitcakes. It's going to be a blind taste test. And coming up, we're going to name a winner. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Great Newfoundland Christmas Cake Off. We're here at Rocket Bakery in downtown St. John's for Newfoundland and Labrador's first ever fruitcake throwdown or throw up, depending on how well this whole thing goes. All right, our contestants have all made dark fruitcake, and the judges have no idea who has baked what. Once again, our esteemed judges, Dale Jarvis, Kelly Mansell, and Barry Parsons. Are you guys ready to cut that cake?
Absolutely.
Yep. Oh, look at that.
What you thinking, Barry?
I'm thinking I got a little bit of rum going on there, something boozy. I'm thinking really nice spice, and I'm thinking real great moist texture.
Rum came through first, which just made me happy. And lots of different textures.
It's nice. It's got a good, it's nice and moist. I'm liking the nuts in it. I like a lot of the glazed cherries. It's very good for me. It's good.
All right, we're gonna move on to cake number 2, and it looks really different. This is actually a rum fluff. I've never seen anything like it, and I can't wait to see what that thing looks like on the inside. Cut that cake.
Okay. Look at that, it lifts out very nicely. Ooh.
It looks like we got a nice cut through some whole glacé cherries there. And it's a nice good color, it's nice and dark, which is what I like.
What differs from the first cake was really fudgy, which I liked. It had a fudgy kind of texture. This one looks more consistent in terms of the distribution of the fruit and the nuts.
It's not quite as nutty as the first cake. I'm really enjoying the rum fluff though. I'm a convert to the rum fluff.
It's almost like a candy undertone to the aftertaste here. Quite enjoyable.
I don't taste as much rum in this one,
No.
but it's a nice balance.
All right, it's time to move on to our third and final cake, cake number 3. Let's get in there. So you say lots of color, Kelly?
Yes, I mean, that really popped for me, the color inside,
Absolutely.
which is interesting, the contrast, because the outside of these two are, it's quite decorative, but man, when you cut into this and you take out a slice, look at the color in that. It's great.
Bit of a surprise.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of like we have 3 different shades here. It's like 50 shades of fruitcake going down the line. So we've gone from darkest to lightest, and then the flavor's been great all the way through. A little bit unidentifiable elements we have there, which is really nice because it kind of gets you talking about it and wondering what exactly that is, you know?
It is sweeter, I think.
Yeah, I think this is the sweetest. I think this is like maybe a bit of almost a peppermint to that.
I like the fudginess, or not the fudgy on this one, this toffee-like top. Have you noticed that, guys?
Yeah, it's almost like a sticky toffee pudding
Yeah,
sort of thing.
exactly.
Very good.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, guys, you've tasted all 3 cakes. Now comes the tough part, choosing a winner. So how are you gonna do that?
I'm going to be looking at the overall presentation of the cake, I'm going to be looking at texture, I'm going to be looking at flavor, and maybe if there's any surprises in there that I didn't expect that were enjoyable.
I have to go with my first taste, like what jumped out for me, and I mean, I enjoyed every single one, but it's usually the first taste that gets you, yeah.
I'm going to be really looking at the texture and the amount of fruit in it. I think that for me is what makes a fruitcake.
All right, you guys have a lot of work to do. We're gonna leave you with your deliberation process, and while you guys do your work, we're gonna learn more about fruitcake memories.
I don't remember my first fruitcake, but I know that Christmas cake was always a part of my Christmas growing up. I always have memories of a dark fruitcake that my mom would make for Christmas. And I was one of those kids that absolutely loved the dark Christmas cake. I was always the designated Christmas cake eater in our family.
I guess my strongest fruitcake memory would be baking with my mom and my aunts during the Christmas season. I guess my first fruitcake was probably made when I was probably around 10 or 11 years old in the kitchen with mom, and all that anticipation and build up to the Christmas season was really what we look forward to every year, and that's really where everything that I do now in terms of Christmas baking comes from.
My fruitcake memories are of not wanting to eat fruitcake, frankly. It's always there, it was always there on the tray, you know, with my family wanting me to eat it, but I never indulged in fruitcake until I moved here. And we made our own fruitcake here at Rocket, and it's delicious.
See, my mother always made the Christmas cakes, and I would take her up to Sobeys and she would buy carts full of all kinds of stuff to put in this cake, and then everybody would drop her off a bottle of rum. I don't know why she needed to drink so much while she was making these cakes, but we were never allowed to make a Christmas cake because that was her thing. So when Mom would come visiting over Christmas, she would bring everybody a Christmas cake. Now, the truth is, I think everybody hates Christmas cake because it really is disgusting. I'm more of a cherry cake person. So we would take the cake and we would serve it to other people and force people to eat the Christmas cake.
I decided that I was gonna try fruitcake. So I did some research and went online, and so then I also called my mom and said, like, ask some of your friends what's the best recipe that they have for fruitcake and ask them if they'll give it to me. So my mother contacted her friend Betty Burke, who's been her friend for probably 50 years. And she gave me her recipe and told me a few things about it. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper. And here it is. I've used it a lot of times.
Well, I've made Christmas cakes before. I wouldn't brag about them though. Whereas if I were making, say, lasagna, or if I were cooking something Spanish, paella for example, or if I were cooking pan-fried cod, I'd be very comfortable saying, come sit down, try this, it's very good. I can't take any credit for being a good baker.
All right, enough with the delays already. Time now for these contestants to identify which of these cakes are theirs. Guys, would you mind taking ownership of your cakes here? All right. I thought that. I saw your face. I saw your face when they went into it. I wondered if that was you. Okay, are you ready to announce the winner of the Great Newfoundland Christmas Cake Off 2016?
We are. Yeah.
Name that winner.
Well, first of all, we love all three cakes. Each one of them was unique. Each one had something great about it that the others didn't. We like the surprises and some of the ingredients and the toppings and others. But when it comes down to real old-fashioned fruitcake flavor, number one took the cake.
All right, congratulations, Helen Escott, the winner of the Newfoundland Christmas Cake Off 2016. Did you ever think this would happen?
No, you know, I did not think I was going to win. I didn't even think I had a chance, but I think it goes back to great recipes on Google. Thank you for that, loved it.
Wait a second, is this Barry's recipe?
Yes, it is. I Googled it. I Googled traditional Newfoundland Christmas cakes, and I came up with his recipe, and I followed it to the T. I had a yellow marker, went down through every bit in it, and approved it. It's great, and I'm gonna have to go buy those cookbooks and start following all of them now.
What'd you think? How was it? Did it taste close to home for you?
It was exactly as I would have made it. I couldn't have done better myself.
Oh my God, what an honor.
That's good.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations, Helen. Amazing job, Kelly and Elle. And a big thank you to our judges today, guys. This has been an amazing experience. I hope we can do this again next year. And while we've got lots of cake, let's get our audience members in here. Let them eat cake. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays.